On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Wanted to do a quick intro video for all of you that are new to Q and QAnon and this whole movement. The first post went back roughly to October 27th, I believe, it's off the top of my head, 2017. And prior to that, there was someone by the name of Meganon. I've been following Q since day one, and I was following Meganon. Doesn't make me special, but I have been following this. A number of channels that I'm interested in and follow that talk about this, and they talk about it what I've found from a number of different perspectives. I want to be a part of this, and I think now is the time to be a part of this. I think we need better discernment amongst this information, or with this information at this time. I think there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of misrepresentation. There's certainly a lot of people that are saying QAnon is not real. I understand that. People such as my older brother are great examples of these people that say he's fake. There's been people that have tried to fake him, and they've gone to great lengths to basically make that difficult to impossible. The way things have played out at this point, there are certain trip codes, certain little codes, and where they're currently posting, which is 8kun, there is only, there's a board that's set up by Q, and there's no one else that's able to post to it. So there's a thing called qpub.org, I believe, qanon.pub, and they will show, and that's where I'm going to be pulling a lot of the Q stuff that I do, but they pull all the Q drops from that 8kun location and put it in one simple place for a lot of us to digest. I believe there's also a few other places. One of the big things we're talking about right now, just to break out a little bit, is to the Great Awakening that is occurring. One of the things that's happened over a lot of years in this country, and really to my understanding, I mean, it probably goes back further, but really where it got serious was JFK. I think he was the last president that attempted to make significant changes to get this country back on track. That obviously was not met with any sort of positive endings. It's been a long time since anyone's attempted to try to do this since. Now, when I say anyone, I mean a team. This isn't one person. I'm not political. I absolutely hate politicians in general. I do think there's some good ones, and I think there's a whole bunch of bad ones. There is definitely a deep state. I think Trump was approached and basically had a clean enough record and was able to fulfill this role and was willing to put himself and his family at great risk to do this. Again, am I pro-Trump? No. Am I hate Trump? No, absolutely not. I don't hate him at all. I actually do think he's trying to, one, do good by himself, of course, but two, I think he's actually trying to help the country. I think he truly does care about Americans, and I think he's one of the first presidents that do and has for quite some time. Again, not getting political, don't want to get into who's good, who's bad, doesn't matter. A lot of presidents have been working for the deep state for a number of years. There's secret societies that tie into all this. I mean, again, there's just gobs of information that's out there. The awakening is about us waking up to the fact that we maybe haven't been, people haven't been as truthful to us as they should have been. And a lot of us have believed our politicians and believed our government officials and have led ourselves into a pretty horrible place. And it seems that this is turning around with what is going on right now. There's a huge amount of resistance to this movement, and understandably so. The dark is losing their power. The cabals, the deep state, are losing their abilities to control the world. They control the media. They control newspaper and print. I think it's roughly 6 companies own most of the media, something like 90% of the outlets. A lot of the online outlets that people go to are also controlled by the same corporations and companies. And you have to understand that companies are not going to report news that looks bad on them. And politicians aren't going to talk about things that don't necessarily keep putting money into their pockets. The Great Awakening is us understanding and waking up to the fact that we've been taken advantage of, that we've been just considered piggy banks that we could be robbed at any chance they want. And again, here we are writing larger checks for $2+ trillion and more. I mean, I think we're up to the 4th stimulus package at this point. So again, this awakening's occurring, and many of us are finally coming to terms. Who's QAnon? QAnon, no one really knows for sure. He's definitely someone close to the president. Generally, the president's referred to as Q+. Oftentimes, Q references are the number 17 as well, so because Q is the 17th letter in the alphabet. So there's a number of these types of things that will pop up in many of these stories. One of the things that's hard about this is many consider this to be a military level campaign. And I would agree without a doubt that you cannot do this kind of situation against the deep state without having some major backings, probably from the Pentagon or at least one of the alphabet agencies that are out there. There seems to be good people in these agencies, and there seems to be bad people in these agencies, and a lot of changes have been made over even the last couple years. What's going to be happening over the next few years from where we are right now, and this is in 2020, March or April, I don't even know what the heck time it is, but during the next bit of time, there's going to be a lot of changes, and it's going to get, to some, especially those that aren't awakened yet, it's going to get scary. And for those of us that are awakened, I'm just asking a little help from you all. If we can try to be a little more understanding and compassionate and patient with those that aren't awakening, if we can understand that you can't force somebody to awaken, you can't force somebody to accept ideas that they're not ready to accept. I want everybody to be awake too. I want to see this change immediately, but it can't. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of under the scenes things that are occurring, but I do believe there will be public things also. Everything? No, not necessarily, and probably not. There are certain people that have definitely done horrible, malicious things against humanity that are so liked by people, it's going to create confusion, concerns, and issues. There's a lot of things that are going on by the deep state. There's smuggling of people. There's smuggling of children. There's smuggling of narcotics. There's smuggling of weapons. There is all sorts of horrible things that are being moved by the deep state in many, many different fashions, and generally through criminal cartels. So there's a lot of changes that are going on right now in regards to that. The news over the next number of weeks to months to years is going to talk about all sorts of things. Until the news is truly honest and truly representative of the people that they're supposedly trying to give news to, rather than a propaganda arm of parts of our government or parts of our political systems or parts of whatever. I actually think it's more of a humanity versus deep state or cabal, but whatever, however we want to phrase it. I think ultimately people are on the same side. We really are when you break it down and put us in the same room. But right now there's so much division sowed into us. Why? Because a population that is divided cannot possibly rise up. It can't. And so right now we're divided on just about every sort of ism that exists under the sun. We're divided on religions. We're divided on sex. We're divided on politics. We're divided on sexuality. We're divided on all these different facets that are meant to keep us fighting with one another rather than appreciating what we do have in common. Yeah, we have differences. That's what makes fun. That's what makes life fun. That's why we have relationships with people. It's not reasons to hate each other. And certainly, one of the problems too is I don't think it's fair to force my ideology onto another. And likewise, I don't think someone else should be able to force their ideologies on me. Their choices are their choices and wonderful for you, and I appreciate that. And I'm not going to say anything about what you choose, but don't tell me what I can do as well. That's not, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else, you really have no right to tell me what I can do. The awakening is about all of us starting to realize these things. We're starting to come to the understanding that there has been a group that has been against us for a number of years, a long time. And instead of the demise that last met Mr. Kennedy, the success has actually already happened from the standpoint of where we are now. That's the thing that's hard for many to understand. And I can't prove it. There's a lot of stories. And I certainly have very strong understandings into what's going on, and I'm seeing it happen. But the things that are going to be large enough for everybody to notice, those aren't here yet. So we're going to have to give time. We're going to have to let this happen. We're going to have to allow ourselves to go through these steps and stages. I talk about manifestation on my other channel frequently. Things don't generally just manifest instantly, unless you're psychic and you pick up on it right beforehand. But otherwise, things happen in steps and stages. And this is as well. You can't broadcast everything you're going to do. You can't talk about it necessarily publicly. But we've got people like Durham that are supposedly making a difference. We've got this whole task force that's very interesting. There's some stories there. We'll get into some of those things. We've got issues with Hillary Rodham Clinton, the server, what she's been doing, what she's trying to do, the actual 16-year plan that was put in place to try to essentially take over, ruin the American economy, and push us into a civil war and then possibly even nuclear war. So a lot of things were intended to happen, and they were stopped. And there's a lot of anger about that. And the deep state has gone to great lengths to affect the success of what's being called the Patriots. It's a good way to look at it. And by the way, for those of you out there that are Patriots, thank you for your service. I've certainly family members. Both my grandparents were in the service and just proud members. Grandfather on my dad's side was a pilot. Grandfather on my mother's side was a secret radar operator, in the Navy back in World War II. Did some very, very cool stuff. And so great guys on my side. I want you guys to know I'm going to be doing these updates as often as I can. When they come out, sometimes Q goes quiet for a while. Maybe I'll put in something here and there that I'm interested in. I certainly do videos on my other channel about manifestation and stuff, trying to balance out, because I really do feel like this is the time for us to awaken. And it's one of the things that I'm truly here to do, to help put light and love into the minds and hearts of as many people as possible. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what I'm about, if you like these topics, please hit subscribe. Please like my videos. Please put the ring notification so you know when I've put out new videos. They might not happen every day. It depends when the information's coming out. And also, if you could, there's always the ability to donate to my channel. I appreciate that as well. That link is below. And these things are very, very helpful in helping promote this channel and helping get this information out there. Feel free, please, also to share this information with people that you think are at least open to hearing it. Maybe not totally awake yet, but at least open, questioning things, asking questions about stuff that might get them in this area. But this is a great time for all of us to unite. This is a great time for all of us to realize that there is no difference. Just because there's a border between you and me, just because there's a line in the sand, doesn't make us different. But at the same time, when it comes to borders, for right now, we need to respect that we have them. And we need to work with each other in this world right now. We can't just let everything happen the way the deep state's been doing it. We need to make some changes. We need to put some breaks in place. We need to stop some of these things just cold turkey. And then once we get the larger issues under control, then we can start to go back to, I think, some of the more open concepts and policies. And I think when we start getting out of some of this wasted money out of our economy and start actually letting the people have their own money, there's talks of taxes going away and all that nonsense too. So again, lots of changes are being discussed. I even heard Trump saying this recently about maybe taking taxes. He's floating this stuff out here about removing income taxes right now. And one thing that's really cool is if they do it and use the guise of this coronavirus as a means of doing it, once you give people a taste of not paying income taxes, they're not going to want to start paying them again, are they? So again, very interesting things are happening. If you listen to the news media, nothing is happening. If you follow people like myself and others doing similar work, you'll actually find a great deal is happening. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.